EAGLES, Eagles.
Wow, that game happened, Gunner. That was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun in the second preseason game. Only about 75 Eagles got hurt today, so that's fun. That's exciting. Oh, 11 penalties. That's fun. That's exciting. Marcus Mariota's not the backup quarterback anymore, as far as I'm concerned. That's fun. That's exciting. So much to get to today. I know they were making jokes about it during the broadcast today, Gunner, but good Lord. I know they were saying it was like a baseball score. It was like it was 3-2 right after the third period. Like, that's the way it was playing out tonight, unfortunately.
It was 8-5 at one point. All of the accolades we were extending certain players' way last week. After this game, not so much.
Oof.
That's why you play the preseason games, man, to get a lot of these things on film, to work things out, especially players. See, you already know a certain percentage of players, and I'm talking about young players, not veterans, that are going to make this team. So you really, as a coaching staff, you're really going to hone in on some of the things they did and, more importantly, did not do, and really, pound those things home between now and the final preseason game next week. And rightfully so. I mean, this is where you make the mistakes. When I'm watching a game like this, Mark, I'm not looking as much at scoring plays. I'm looking at technique. I'm looking at hand placement. I'm looking if people are in the right position. I'm looking if they're wrapping up on tackles or if they're throwing shoulders and things of that nature. And in this particular game, I was looking more at bodies laying on the field more so than anything else. I mean, that was scary, man. And hopefully, Cleveland and Ojomo with the neck injuries, they're okay. Their movement and their extremities so far, but still, until you get further testing with the MRIs and stuff, you don't know exactly what's going on. Zach McPherson, during the game, I reported that not only was it an ankle injury, but they're also checking his Achilles. So they've had enough of that stuff already as well with Sean Bradley. So now we sit, wait, and cross our fingers. Nolan Smith with the shoulder injury seems to be fine, but he's had a history of injuries. He had the elbow one year, he had the torn pec last year, and the way he was holding that arm down, I mean, hopefully it's nothing more than a stinger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And Tyree Cleveland, Ojomo, Moro Ojomo, Nolan Smith, Josh Andrews, Zach McPherson, Olamide, Zacchaeus, all ended up with injuries tonight, unfortunately. Hopefully none of them are serious. You mentioned Cleveland, you mentioned Ojomo. Both had some movement in their extremities. They had movement in their extremities, so that's obviously a good thing. But all you ask for in the preseason is escape healthy. That's it. Escape healthy. And this was obviously a game where that was not the case for a lot of these players. And I take full responsibility for Nolan Smith, because I think I just tweeted out that I was at a Sam Bradford versus Green Bay level of preseason excitement for Nolan Smith and Sidney Brown, and promptly Nolan Smith gets hurt on the very next play. So it looks like he'll be fine, but I take full responsibility for that scare. So I do apologize. Let's start it off with some guys that you and I had talked about today, because, by the way, welcome in, everybody, to the Lehocky Postgame Show here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. That man right there is Derek Gunn. My name is Mark Farzetta. We appreciate everyone here in the chat. Coming up in the next segment, we'll be talking in about 20 minutes to our friend Mike Missinelli. He'll give us his takes on preseason game number 2 against the Cleveland Browns, the 18-18 final with this preseason game against the Browns. And then John McMullen will join us from Lincoln Financial Field to break it all down and what's being said after the game from Nick Sirianni. Did not look too pleased with that penalty on the field goal to give him another opportunity to try to take a lead. It was good to see that passion, albeit in the preseason, from Nick Sirianni, that patented Nick Sirianni passion there on the sideline. So we'll get to that conversation. But yeah, Mike Missinelli will join us coming up in about 20 minutes, and John McMullen will join us a little bit later in the show. We'll give you about 90 minutes of reaction to this game. We'll read some comments from you guys and try to keep everything in perspective. Now, Gunner, you and I had the pleasure of filling in for your partner, Rob Ellis, today on Sports Take. We had mentioned a couple of names that we're going to be looking at tonight: Tyler Steen, Nakobe Dean, the running back situation, Sidney Brown, Tyree Cleveland. Let's start it off with Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean, after drawing a penalty, and I will say this, okay, and some people might, I already get criticized enough for being like the president of the Nakobe Dean fan club, but I'll say this. A linebacker trying to hold up at the very last second with a quarterback going into a slide, it's a very difficult play to try to hold up and not hit. Did he make the wrong play? He made the wrong play. Is it a very tough play to make? It's a tough play.
No, and it's a point I've been arguing for years since they revamped the shots to the head. You know, when you're a defender and you're running full bore, and let's face it, Robinson slid at the last minute. You know, normally a quarterback will slide a lot sooner when he sees would-be tacklers converging, but he kept going to pick up an extra few yards. And by this time, Nakobe Dean is going full bore, and he's already committed himself to take the shot. So Robinson slides right into him. They call it, you know, unnecessary roughness. Now, we've seen this happen time and time again in regular season games in big situations. It has won some games for some teams. It has lost games for other teams. They've got to find a way to redefine what that is. And I know they're committed to trying to make the games a little bit shorter, more so than longer. But the bottom line is to play right. And if that means you have to call another timeout as a referee crew and look at the play over and over again before you come to a conclusion, you know, then do so, because those plays are commonplace across the National Football League. And, you know, I understand they're trying to protect the offensive players more so than ever before in recent years, but you're leaving defensive players open to be injured more, because if you're asking a guy who's going full bore, who's made a commitment to take a hit, to adjust his body on the fly, now you're talking about the possibility of ankles, knee injuries, and possible shoulder and head injuries, you know, and possibility of running into one of their own teammates. So they've got to keep fine-tuning this thing, but it seems like they've come to a conclusion what is and what isn't, and they're going to go with that, and it's not right, you know. And I'm not defending the Eagles. I'm defending defensive players in general, is that they're at a severe disadvantage when it comes to what the strike zone is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. And I'm with you 100%. I mean, it was one of the first things. I remember you and I talking years ago before the NFL expanded to 17 games. I remember talking about how this was their goal, and the whole reason they're trying to make the game safer is so that they can make the appeal to the players union and say, well, look, we made the game safer so you can totally play one more game in the regular season. No big deal. And sure enough, here we are now. However, in trying to make the game safer, what really makes sense? I understand the goal to make the game safer, but I don't understand how it makes sense when a guy like Nakobe Dean is trying to make a play on a quarterback, granted a quarterback who's going into a slide, but as you say, full bore, 1,000% just trying to make a play. And it's very difficult at literally the last possible millisecond to make an adjustment to avoid making illegal contact, or in this case, illegal roughness, illegal hit to the head there that it was called for Nakobe Dean in that play. Now, to get that rule out of the way, he got called for the penalty. We acknowledged it. The very next play, or excuse me, in that goal line situation, Nakobe Dean comes up with a huge play, makes first and foremost a great read in the backfield to know what was coming next. He charges the line of scrimmage. He gets a hand in on the ball carrier, jars the ball loose, and then the Eagles are able to get on top of it, and they force that fumble in that situation. That's what you want to – look, when we talk about Nakobe Dean, we talk about smarts, we talk about instincts, and we talk about quickness. We saw all three of those things. And Gunnar, before the game today, when we were doing Sports Take, we mentioned those same three things, and on that very play, we saw all three of those things carry out for Nakobe Dean. He stepped up and he made a play.
Yeah, he read the play perfectly. He shot the gap and forced the fumble. You know, after making a mistake, which is questionable, he came back the very next play and stopped the drive. An opening drive that had a lot of miscues by the defense, by the way. You know, they let Cleveland just walk down the field. And I tell you what, this kid, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I love this kid. I loved him at UCLA. And I tell you, he's got ice water in his veins, man. He's got a great arm, great accuracy. I loved everything about him, and he just walked down the field on this team. This team, you know, coverage a little bit off tonight, tackling a little bit off in situations tonight. But those are the ebbs and flows of what you're going to get in a season, whether it's preseason or regular season. You know, offensively, they made some mistakes as well, made some big plays. and there's still a lot to work on, and there's still a lot of room for backups to assert themselves in terms of whether they're going to be number 2s and number 3s. Some we already know, but there's room for a number of players to step up. And I didn't think a number of those players stepped up tonight.
Yeah, there's a long list of names that we'll be looking at as the night goes on. Nakobe Dean was one of the guys that you and I were looking at first and foremost to see how he would play, how he would go out there and handle the business when he goes out there. And I thought he played well in the time that we got to see him out there. I thought you saw the instincts there. You saw the smarts and you saw him make a play. I said, I just want to see him make a play. He made a play. I'll dine on that until week 1 of the regular season because I think you're on the same page as me here, Gunner. We're not going to see Nakobe Dean play again the rest of this preseason, right?
Yeah, well, as I said on Sports Take when I found out, he's probably going to play 10 snaps or less. He played a little bit more because of that first drive. And then after that, you call it a night. And thank goodness, when you consider how these guys were dropping like flies after that, thank goodness you got them off the field. Last thing is you want to see is to have your starting middle linebacker have a fluke injury on the field like some of these injuries were tonight, man. And now we're sitting here waiting to find out further reports in terms of how severe some of these injuries are. But I like Nakobe's quickness. I liked his anticipation. I made a couple of minor mistakes in terms of positioning and tackling, but he made the one big play. Came right back after a gaff and made a big play. And that tells me, if you're going, it's like I said on Sports Take, if you're going to make mistakes, make a mistake going all out. The coach would rather see you going all out than being tentative in situations like that.
Gunner, absolutely. I want to do some rankings real quick, and it just has to do with quarterback. It just has, let's talk about quarterbacks who threw a football tonight for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to rank them. Okay. Number 1, Tanner McKee. All right. Best guy to throw a football tonight for the Eagles.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next up, I'm going to go Jalen Hurts, who caught an errant throw on the sideline and threw it into the crowd. That was, I think, the second best quarterback to throw a pass tonight. Would you agree?
Probably, yes.
Okay, now, okay. You know what? I'm not even going to say a pile of crap. I'm just going to say number 3, Marcus Mariota. He was the 3rd best Eagles quarterback to throw a ball tonight. There's a serious issue here with the backup quarterback role here.
You really want to take it down to the gutter, don't you?
Hey, I left out pile of crap. I could have said pile of crap and then Marcus Mariota, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I said I ranked him just under Jalen Hurts. But there's an issue here, my friend.
Yeah, I understand that he's playing behind backups, and some of the times he didn't get a chance to step into his throws, but he sailed. There are other times he had plenty of time to plant his feet and throw the ball, and he continues to sail them. He's been doing it in practice. He did it last week in the opening game against the Ravens. His passes continue to sail, and he sailed one which led to a pick. And I don't know what it is with him, but I think after 2 games, and again, it's preseason, you're playing against more backups, but I don't have a problem if the Eagles announce that McKee has moved up to the number 2 spot. He came right out, first drive, right out of the gate, 6-play drive, 3 minutes, 75 yards, marched him down the field, touchdown. First pass was a beautiful out route, right on the money, and, he's been doing it throughout training camp and now for the second preseason game. I don't know what it is about Mariota, what's in his head, but for some reason, he can't get his passes down on a consistent basis. And you're not going to last long. You're not going to last long if you continue to do that. I mean, Mariota's been around the league long enough. He should know better, And for whatever reason, the Marcus Mariota that started out early in his NFL career is not even close to the guy we've watched over the last couple of years in Atlanta and now here. Now, again, he's playing behind passed up lines. I get that. But he had time to set his feet in the pocket and throw the ball, look down the field, throw the ball, and had some guys wide open and overthrew him. And Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson, they got to be cringy when they look at this film tomorrow.
The word sail definitely comes to mind a lot with his throws tonight because he was certainly sailing a few of them. And to compare the 2 quarterbacks, I think one of the things that we could really point out about this is that Marcus Mariota was a problem for his receivers tonight with errant throws. When you just look at the numbers for Mariota tonight, he was 9 for 17 for 86 yards, and he threw that interception. He was sacked 3 times. For Tanner McKee tonight, his receivers were the problem for him. There were at least 3 drops, 1 for a touchdown. He put the ball on the money for Deon Cain down the sideline. He put the ball on the money for Tyree Cleveland, a guy we were looking forward to see tonight on the play. Unfortunately, Cleveland ended up getting hurt, and he couldn't make the adjustment to make the catch, but the ball was right there for him. If those catches are reeled in, if those 2 of them are routine, then it's a much different stat line for McKee, who still had a good stat line tonight, 10 of 18 for 147 and a touchdown, averaging 8.2 yards per attempt. So that is pretty damn good there for Tanner McKee. I was surprised guys like Deon Cain were unable to reel the ball in. That one play by Tyree Cleveland was a difficult one to bring in, but one he definitely should have had. I thought McKee just, you know what he looks? He looks poised. He looks cool, calm, collected, as you want a quarterback to look, albeit, yes, preseason, but still, this is a 6th-round pick that the Eagles are given an opportunity to, and he has looked like, in the preseason, through 2 games now, the far and away better quarterback. And he's not playing with that talent that, like, for instance, he didn't have DeAndre Swift. He had Kenny Gainwell get a couple of reps tonight, and unfortunately, they had the safety there. The offensive line wasn't playing well. And that was really it. He's not playing with near the talent that Marcus Mariota has been out there with to be the starter during these 2 preseason games.
Well, McKee's a taller quarterback too, can see the field a little bit better. I love his arm accuracy. I love his arm motion. His mechanics are really great for a young quarterback. My last count on my notes, they had 6 drops, 6 McKee drop passes. Okay? And who knows, who knows how long they could have sustained those drives had they not dropped those passes. The only thing, McKee is not a runner. You saw him with the run. He's not a runner.
I thought that one was a forward pass. I thought that one he was going to get called for the forward pass. I thought he was over the line of scrimmage.
He's more of a plotter than a runner, but that's okay. You want to be able to. You want him to be able to deliver the goods, and he did that. He put the ball where it had more times than not. He had the one bad throw, I believe, off an RPO. Had a receiver wide open in the back of the end zone, overthrew him a little bit. Receiver, I think, got his hands on the ball, should have brought it down. But outside of that, every pass is not going to be perfect. But for the most part, McKee put that ball exactly where it's supposed to be, and the receivers dropped way too many for the coach's liking. But I like everything about Tyler McKee. And I said after he completed his first pass, I put it out on X or Twitter, whatever the heck it's called.
The platform formerly known as Twitter, yes.
Yeah, I said, okay, first pass completion. All right, he's number 2. He's number 2 on my depth chart. And people jumped on that real quick.
Yeah, Gunnar, I felt bad for the guy with the goal line situation. Deon Cain drops the ball in the back of the end zone. He's rolling to his right. He's buying time. He's creating that time, not down the field, whatever, in the end zone. And Cain makes a great play, comes all the way across the field to be there for his quarterback. Ball's a little over his head, but certainly a catchable ball, and dropped. Tanner McKee made a great play on that one, rolled to his right. Made a couple of great throws. He hit, who was it down the sideline? Was it King going down the sideline? No, it was Tyree Jackson, your boy Tyree Jackson making a play down the sideline. Yeah. Then after that, it was Brady Russell, who made a play on special teams as well. That long-haired fella. Yeah.
He then got on a nice pass down the sidelines also.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Him and Ngata were in simpatico in this game. They were on the same page.
He has such a great touch on his passes, man. And obviously he learned his lesson well in the college ranks. It's amazing that he lasted on the board. And again, it's preseason. I get it. But it's amazing just looking at his overall mechanics and ability. It's amazing he lasted as long as he did on the board, when he came out of college for the draft. But you know what? Every team misses a player, and obviously the Eagles, didn't think he was they didn't deem him worthy enough to take him early in the round. I'm sure they just sat there and said, hopefully he keeps dropping. Hopefully he keeps dropping, And sure enough, he dropped right to where they wanted to pick him. And you know what? They may have themselves a diamond in the rough here.
All right, real quick. I'm only asking because I saw it start to circulate on social media. Nick Foles is a free agent. Does Nick Foles need to be in Philadelphia?
I think Nick Foles' better days have come and gone. I know people have this affection for Nick Foles, and so do I. I love him.
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine, but I don't think we want to go down the Nick Foles role again. if that's the case, bring in Matt Ryan. You're going to do that. Bring
Matt.
You're not going to sit Matt Ryan on a bench. I would bring in Matt Ryan before I bring in Nick Foles, but I don't think Matt Ryan's coming here. If Matt Ryan comes back to play and he's left that door open that he wants to play, he's going to go to a situation where he has a chance to walk in the door and play now because somebody's injured or not doing a job.
I don't know, man. Nick Foles drinks that Schuylkill River fresh. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, he becomes the next Tom Brady, or better than Tom Brady, as a matter of fact. There's just something in the water here in Philadelphia that makes Nick Foles ascend to a higher level. But I don't think the Eagles will be needing that because Jalen Hurts is a perennial MVP candidate. Hey,
see, Griffin Renzi is asking me any updates on injury. Well, Griffin, a few moments ago, I mentioned that when it comes to Ajomo and Cleveland, it's still wait and see. They still have to conduct MRIs. Andrews is an ankle. The one you have to watch the closest is McPherson. The team announced it was an ankle injury, but I was also told they're checking his Achilles as well. So say your prayers and keep your fingers crossed that it's not an Achilles. We don't need another one of those, So because I think McPherson is a very good backup for this team, and I hate to see him go down. I really would.
I'm with you. Hey, coming up in a minute, we're going to continue to break down this preseason game number 2 against the Cleveland Browns. And joining us in the upcoming segment here, the great Mike Missinelli will stop by the Lehocky Postgame show right here